see is all I need from you to me. Oh, my intimacy is all I need from you to me. Oh, my intimacy is all I need from you to me. Oh, my intimacy is all I need from you to me. Oh, my intimacy is all I
I've been watching this young couple making the mistake of feeding the seagulls, and a minute ago they were basically bombarded by this flock. Very funny to watch. The girl completely flipped out.
is all I need from you to me. Why can't you see me on my knees for you, baby? I'm falling down, and I need you to catch me.
So there's a biker smoking one of those vapes at the top of the ramp here, which is creating a bit of drama. Using the railing as a leading line, a bit of a waiting game for that perfect capture, using spot focus on his face, 0.002 of a second on the shutter.
Intimacy is all I need.
So when I shoot street photography, I'm always looking for layers of three: a foreground, a middle point of focus, and a background. Now the foreground and the background are usually out of focus, but not too out of focus that it's indiscernible. We still want to be able to distinguish the location we're in and tell the story. The middle point of focus is usually a person or an object or an action, and sometimes I change this up and put this in the foreground, but I'm always looking for those layers of three and that depth. I think I may have spotted a composition down here. These crisscrossing railings are creating some interesting lines and shapes, but I think we need a human in the shot. There's a young chap just coming down the ramp now. Like that sweater he's got on as well. Reacting to and capturing a moment is the name of the game when it comes to street photography, and that usually means having your camera close to hand and having the correct camera settings. We don't want to be rifling through a camera bag because that moment will be gone. Something I find really useful for street photography is a camera holster. It's got a quick release action and a locking mechanism when the camera's in the down position, which is great for safety in towns and cities. Also, it makes you feel a little bit like Clint Eastwood. My default camera settings are usually f2, f2.8, and my shutter speed, because we're dealing with moving objects like people or bicycles or dogs, I want to be at least 800 to 1,000th of a second on the shutter, preferably higher. And ISO is my least important setting because even if you've got a high ISO, it just adds to that gritty urban vibe. A few other important settings I like to use is shooting in fast burst mode. Obviously more frames means more keepers, and I use flexible spot focus and turn off face detect. I don't want the camera to decide for me what to focus on. Often it's not the face. So I've just spotted these two bicycles on the upper level, some dangling twinkle lights in the foreground. Could make for a nice shot. A couple of people coming into frame now. Love it or hate it, this observation tower does make for some interesting photos. Not sure if you can see this, might need to shoot this at eye level. A couple of skateboarders down there. This camera, the Sony A7C, is brilliant at focus tracking. Even when they pass in front of the railings, it somehow manages to maintain focus. The Black Lion Brewery, one of the oldest buildings in Brighton, or well, it was until they rebuilt it in the 1970s. Still looks pretty authentic though. Ooh, look at this shop window. Looks a little out of my price range, but these are always good for reflection shots. So I'm not sure if you can see this. I'm just going for a self-portrait here. Oh, there we go. That's a better view. Drop down to f4. Reflections are a great way to add interest into your street photos, whether it's shooting through glass windows and doors, or capturing a reflection in a mirror, or using the surface water on the pavement or a puddle. Artistry can usually be exploited with the use of these reflections because light can react in very abstract ways. Oh, check out this pizza oven fire in the window. Reflections, pedestrians, got it all going on. Very abstract. Just swapped to my 50mm lens for the first time today. That gorgeous sky is just bouncing reflections off this handrail. Focusing on the old pier f2.5. Right, gonna go and see if I can grab that old carousel spinning. So while I was setting up the tripod and camera, it looks like the carousel has stopped and it doesn't look like it's going to restart, which is a shame. Been waiting for about 3 or 4 minutes now. Just have to settle on an exposure blend, 2 captures, one for the sky and one for the carousel. So I know this is technically a street photography video, but there is a beautiful sky unfolding just over there. So I'm going to throw a few landscapes in too. Got to run though, disappearing fast. So I'm going to use this partition wall as a frame. I think it might look quite nice. Pretty similar to that last setup, focusing on the pier and throwing the foreground wall out of focus. Should turn out quite well in Photoshop. Now, I've seen this done on Instagram in the past and always wanted to try it, focusing on the reflection in the phone and then taking another frame out of focus and blending them together in post-production.